Welcome back to another Swans Cast podcast. I'm joined once again, as always, by Lee. So, welcome, Lee.
Hello.
I'd like to apologise in advance to everyone if my voice is a bit off. I'm in the middle of struggling between hay fever and potentially a cold. Can't really tell because that's how bad the hay fever is. So, if you see me disappear off screen or mic for like momentarily, I'm probably just sorting myself out. But yeah, so Lee will have to run the ship while I go off screen. But I'm sure we'll manage. There's bigger things to talk about than hay fever. Obviously, there's been a lot of drama, news, that sort of stuff happening with the Swans since the season's finished. We'll obviously talk about that. That's going to be the main aim of this video. Before we get there, though, as always, don't forget to click the big red subscribe button at the bottom of the video. It really helps us. I think we're on 509, so we're trying to push on now. The next target is 1,000, which is where a lot of new things hopefully will open up for us on the podcast. We did say we're going to do a giveaway when we got to 500, so that will be at the start of the next season. We haven't seen a new kit or anything yet, but probably be something to do with that. So stay tuned for that. We'll announce it when that launches. Okay, obviously then, the news on everyone's lips, Russell Martin. If I take you back a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months now, what are we, May? Let's go back to March, end of March maybe. And we hadn't won a game in a long time, or at least it was something like 3 wins in 20-something matches or something, was it? Something ridiculous. And people were like, board, or we said even, board needs to either stick with him now, back him, or get rid of him. Fast forward 2-3 months, and that is no longer in their hands, apparently. So obviously the upturn in form since then, we won 7 in 9, managed to have an outside chance of the playoffs late on. That didn't really materialise, but we would have got there if we'd won the 9 games, basically, rather than the 2 draws that were in that run of fixtures. But that is a big ask regardless. We still finished a lot closer than we would have thought before that run of form. We thought we were just done on the beach, season fizzling out. But apparently that was enough for a bigger club to potentially, bigger club, to potentially seek interest in him. And by all accounts, he is due to sign with Southampton imminently. Imminently has been since Monday anyway. We're currently recording this on Thursday. Still no announcement, so that's important because things could technically change, but it looks like it is pretty clear cut. So what do you think about all this, Lee?
I think he'll, if it is going to be the case, I think he's going to be announced on Monday probably, because Southampton have got their last game on Sunday, haven't they? And I think they've announced that Ruben Sellers is not going to be there, so I think they'll probably announce Russell Martin on Monday or Tuesday next week, probably, because bank holiday Monday, maybe Tuesday. I don't know, not really surprised anymore. We haven't. I was trying to think of the last time we had a manager for longer than 2 seasons, and I had to go back to Roberto Martinez took over from Kenny Jackett. So he had like a little bit of a season, and then he had 2 seasons. And then Kenny Jackett was the same. He had 2 seasons, and then in his 3rd season he was sacked. So, we haven't had a manager for 3 seasons. For, oh God, you'd have to go back even further.
They either do too well, or
too well, I guess. I guess that's the nature of the beast at the moment with football. There's not many managers that get past 2 years. I don't know. I'd like to see the stats in the Championship. If many managers who are there now have been there longer than 2 years, I don't think so.
I'm sure he was one of the longest serving.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I think just the way it goes. But I don't know. I think I'm normally I'd be a little bit gutted, but I don't know. I think he was still quite divisive. Still wasn't sure. It was still a bit of an unknown. I think we were all kind of hoping, rather than being sure, that it was going to be a good season next year. I think we've said it a couple of times. I think he had until sort of 10, 15 games into the start of the season to prove that he was actually going to do something, or that might have been it.
Another run. You needed to carry the run on, basically, from day one, I think.
It's a really weird one, because I know, like, he kind of split the fan base a bit, didn't he? I know a lot of people didn't like him, and a lot of people, I would say, over-liked him, if that makes sense. He was, like, he had a bit of a free pass for a long time there, like you said, about the run of form he had, and people were confident to stick with him. So I don't know, a bit bit indifferent on this one. It's a bit of a strange one because I did like him. I wanted him to do well. Obviously, he's got the legacy of doing the double. But apart from that, there wasn't anything really to shout about. We had a good couple of runs. We've had a couple of bad runs. And
2
that's it
mid-table
really.
finishes is the bottom line.
Yeah, well, the only frustrating thing for me is that we've got to start again. Like I said, we haven't had a manager longer than 2 seasons. I was just looking forward to having like a bit of consistency. But the only frustrating thing now is just starting again. And it's just going into the unknown again. You don't know what player's going to be here. We don't know what manager's going to come in. So that's the only frustrating thing. In terms of Martin going to Southampton, it's kind of, we should be used to this by now. Cooper did 2 years, playoffs twice, was gone. Potter did 1 year, did well, he was gone. I think that's just the way it is for us at the moment.
Yeah, Andy Robinson rinsed him on Twitter. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, did he? No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was just kind of it's saying, like, I think it's because the discourse when this has been announced has kind of been everyone is like, oh my god, like we should have offered him a contract, we should have given him what he wants, whatever, keep him, all this stuff. And he was just there like, well, a couple of weeks ago everyone wanted him gone. Like, don't forget that run of 3 wins in 20.
Yeah.
He hasn't really done anything special.
Yeah,
He
I
said
agree.
he's easily this is his words now. He's easily replaced, took a playoff team to 15th and 10th in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you make of that. Is it as clear cut as that? Or is there more going on?
I don't know. I do agree with it because we kind of, well, not we, but I think I was against a lot of the majority because I quite liked Steve Cooper. I thought he was a good manager. He got us to 2 playoffs, 1 final, and then he's now kept Forest in the Premier League because they're safe. I thought he was a good manager, but people hated him. And then where there were times where I really didn't understand what Russell Martin was doing, people were backing him blindly, saying, trust the process, it's all going to be fine. And so I don't know. But again, though, the one thing I always worry about is that I've said again since we've come down and we started doing the podcast, every transfer window, our squad gets depleted all the way through. So, we sell players and we don't bring in the quality to replace them. We sell players, we don't bring in the
Other
quality.
than his first window, I would say, because I don't think it did in his first window.
Who now? Martin.
Yeah, he brought a lot of players in that first window.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to say. So I think, and I always used to worry that, we needed the likes of Potter and Cooper to be, punching above their weight and dragging the squad further than they should be. But then when Martin came in, we signed quite a lot of players. Last year, we were like 10th top spenders in the league. So I know like the owners did what they did in January, but how much money do you realistically want to spend in the championship at the moment? Because nobody is spending apart from the parachute payment clubs. So realistically, what are we going to spend?
That's what I was speaking to Alid. Obviously, he's come in the podcast in the past, and he was asking me because he's a bit out of touch at the moment. He's gone gallivanting, doing some job somewhere that's not in Swansea. So yeah, I've been paying attention. But anyway, he caught wind that Martin's on his way to Southampton. I was like, "Where have you been for the last week?" Anyway, when he found out yesterday, and he was saying like, he was basically saying like, "Oh well, who's going to want to come here when the board doesn't back him?" And I know there's a lot of criticism around the board. It's a different conversation I don't want to enter into really today. And we didn't really spend in January, but I said to him, there's a difference between not replacing the players that leave and not getting players in. Like the squad was thin after January because some of the loan guys went, and there was some issues with like we didn't sign in the right positions potentially in the summer. Like, Brandon Cooper's gone out on loan. Did we really need to bring in 2 centre backs rather than a wing back, which we did need to really bring in? I'm just, for example, saying like players got brought in, the squad depth suffered in certain areas because we were overstocked then in other areas, for example. But I was just saying, like, I don't necessarily think they haven't give him money to spend, Martin, anyway, in comparison to like, well, just look at Coventry and Luton who made the playoff
exactly
final now. So there was that
spend
graph
less
going
than
around,
us.
wasn't there, about how much he spent and where he finished in the league and all that sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
we were actually quite well off on that graph, but also
but I think we were like,
wasn't awful.
I saw one that was it might have been the same one, but it was what we spend on wages, and it was like we're 13th in the league for wage spending. So mid-table average, and we finished 10th. So we're round about where we should be, and if you're looking at that. But then if you look at like Coventry and Luton, they're like the lowest on spending wages.
And another point I would say on that is, if it's like the first 2 years after parachute payments, as much as people like to criticise the board, getting us to that sort of wage spender in that time is probably quite a good thing.
Yeah.
Like in terms of stability and like sustainability of the club, and you don't want to like free fall with money issues. The finances came out the other day, and we had a 12 million loss. Obviously, that's for the season before, a little bit earlier than what we are now. So it'd be interesting to see the next one, I guess. But I guess that tells a bigger story. Like, we know that we have frustrations about how much they reinvest into the squad sometimes, but it's not like they're using the money and we're suffering like maybe a Stoke, or like there's been a few teams recently that have points deductions because of bad financial management, and we're never really in that bracket. So it's one of them, innit?
Yeah.
Would you rather be in that bracket and overspend a little bit to try get up, and then we caught foul of the rules, or be a bit frustrated that we don't spend as much and comply?
Yeah, it depends what people say when, because a lot of people say, oh, they don't back us, they don't give back, and it's what you mean by backing us. Like, do you want them to spend 20 million in the window and then we're struggling for a bit for years, or does it mean signing the right players? I don't really understand. And like you said, we won't go into the board today because that's a separate.
The only thing I would say is we're not defending nor attacking the board here.
Yeah.
Just as a clarity with like spending money, and bringing players in is a different, like, that's a statement, and a different statement could be spending it in the right areas and bringing the right players in. That one word makes a massive difference, and I don't necessarily think they've always done that the best. And maybe the system they have of how they get the players in, which is what potentially caused a lot of the problems in January as well, could leave a lot to be desired. But I don't necessarily think Martin has not been backed on the overall time he had here in his, how many windows? 4 windows with the 4 windows, especially that first one. There was a lot of players came in that first one. Only this January where I would say that was a very frustrating window. I agree with that. Maybe that's left a sour taste in his mouth. I don't know. But other than that, I think he's had, like, Andy Fisher. People like to moan about him. You can't, like, who are you gonna, if you're gonna say Andy Fisher's a poor signing? Does Andy Fisher get signed if Russell Martin's not the manager?
No. No, he brought him from MK Dons, didn't he?
And the fee for a goalkeeper, who's now no longer our first choice, or wasn't until Bender got injured. He wanted that goalkeeper. Like, that's a big fee for where we are in the Championship for a goalkeeper, really, other than the teams that have come down from the Premier League. So you could have used that money somewhere else, potentially.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, he had the backing, he got a goalie he wanted, but was that the best decision? That's a different conversation.
Got Darling.
Yeah, Darling again.
2 million as well.
Yeah, and he hasn't been a bad signing, but
no.
Well, if we could have got 4 players for that price.
Yeah.
Nathan Wood was free, and which one would you say had a better season?
Oh yeah, Wood.
So, anyway, obviously we're just going down the route of Martin going to Southampton. Maybe part of the reason was the back-in aspect of it. He's definitely going to get more back-in at a club like Southampton because they're going to come down with parachutes with the expectation of an immediate return. Now, I think there's a little bit more to why Southampton want him. So I've got a statement here that they, I think, released yesterday or this morning. So obviously it's not been announced that Martin's going. This is the first they've kind of said that highlights they bring in a new manager in. Southampton Football Club can confirm that it has held conversations with men's first team manager Ruben Selles and decided that his contract will not be renewed when it expires at the end of the season. And then they go on to thank him and all the rest of it. He's going to be there for the final game against Liverpool next week. So maybe you are right and they won't announce Martin till after that, out of respect, maybe. Bit difficult to like perhaps take your last game when you know there's someone there waiting on the sidelines. But I've also heard there's still negotiations going on between the clubs and the compensation. So I think I was reading initially Southampton wanted to give 400,000 with extra then would have been given for the coaching team that's also going to go. But Swansea are holding out for more like 800,000, I think.
Right. Okay.
So there's discussions. I'd imagine they'll compromise and meet somewhere in the middle. Don't know what they'll get as a total with the other guys going. But yeah, I mean, don't know. He's only got 1 year left on his deal, so we were never going to get an awful load for him, really. But I guess any fee you can get for him is either going to help in the search for a new manager, or if you're perhaps getting someone that isn't in the club now, it's extra funds to go towards the team.
Yeah. Got to make sure you get the right, get the right amount, don't you?
Yeah.
To be fair, they obviously want to try and push it and get a bit more, which I'm fully expecting them to do anyway. So I'm sure they'll get it over the line. Though I think it's just minor details probably. Now I was surprised it was probably already agreed because it's been reported everywhere, isn't it? Like BBC are reporting it in TalkSport, and so I think it is quite well documented now that it is going to happen. I don't know. I still don't really know what to make. It depends on what we don't know, and we probably won't ever know. Like, has he been offered a contract with us? We don't know. We don't know if he's actually been offered a contract. I don't know if we'll ever know. So we'll have to wait and see.
Depends who you believe, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah,
the eagle-eyed Twitter users might have come across a certain feed that involved was it Jake Silverstein? I don't say his name. I always get it wrong.
Silverstein, isn't it? Yeah, I did see it, but I can't remember what he said now.
He was saying that without going into detail about what was said, because I guess, look, I'm not saying the person that posted it is lying at all, but you just don't 100% know the clarity. Like, even the guy who's using Jake's account, like, is that actually him typing back? You don't know the full security of that information. I guess, like, it's information, but it's not necessarily like evidence, as you could put it. But he was trying to spin it as like Russell Martin. Actually, this is a conversation in itself. I thought about the other day. So he's trying to spin it as Russell Martin has made an agenda. He's made a story. He's made like all of this about how he's been hard done by since January, playing this big victim card, if you like, how he wasn't backed and all this, done at the press conference, been talking in the press, asking for a new contract out loud, saying there's nothing happening, and making that story to make the fans on his side. Whereas in the background, ultimately they have offered him a deal. He's not wanted it or whatever. There's other stuff going on, is what he's been trying to say. Now, okay, maybe that is the case. Maybe Martin's been saying all the right things to like make it look like he's not the problem, if you like.
Yeah.
But what I would ask is, right, if you're going to tell us all of this now and say like Martin's been doing this for a long time, since January, since that window, or he was also saying part of the reason they didn't sign anyone in January is because the players that Martin and his team brought to them were not like good enough, basically, or like it just wasn't going to happen. So they said that they didn't bring him enough good information to work with, or like basically saying it wasn't just all us, yeah. But if you know all this, right, and you're saying since January there's been all these issues, and Martin's playing this very public I'm the victim card, and you're just sitting there and letting him do it, offering him a contract in the background, but he's talking rubbish about you in the public, making everyone think you're the problem. Why are you offering him a contract anyway? Surely you'd be like, right, you're gone.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much it adds up based on that. Personally, if your manager who's in charge of your club, right, you're the director, you got the person under you, the manager in the workplace, absolutely like belittling you, what's the word, slandering you in public, not just like to the employees but to the media, You're not going to go and offer him a new deal, are you?
No.
So I'm not quite sure how that adds up, really.
Yeah, it's again. We'll never really know. But from what we can see, like I definitely think there was tension there because they had when it happened in January. I remember the board released like a video, didn't they? Like before Russell Martin got a chance to speak in his press conference, and Russell Martin brought out all the staff, and he brought all the staff into the press conference and stuff. So there's definitely a massive like disconnect. But then I don't know. I'm not. I really don't know where the blame will lie on all this because when Russell Martin came in, I remember specifically when he first came in his press conference, he said, "We've come to Swansea to work. We got to develop younger players, and we understand the financial situation." And then that kind of deteriorated. Then where he was like, well, we're not getting backed, and and then he said things like after January, like, "Oh, we got to get processes in place where this doesn't happen again." And he was talking about we should give Latibodiere a new contract and stuff. So we should like sort of building for next season. And then first opportunity comes along and he's gone. I don't know.
Yeah. I just
So I
doesn't
guess
add up.
like was it that they didn't offer him a contract and that's why he's gone, or was he just sort of saying the right things to get him to the end of the season and then he
Again,
was going
it
to take
depends
the
who you
first opportunity?
believe, doesn't
Well,
it?
we'll
'Cause,
never know. We'll never know that. All we can say is on the face of it, that it looks like a lot of other managers, an opportunity's come up straight away and they've gone. And that's the
yeah,
bottom
but if
line
he
with it.
is having this animosity with the board and all that, then you would go there, wouldn't you? It's not like he's gone sideways.
Yeah, I know, but it's not like it's come as a surprise because he said as soon as he came in, he understood that we couldn't spend loads of money, and his project was to build younger players. He said that himself.
Yeah, but you don't know what
So when
talks
they
were had
don't go and no,
since
exactly,
then,
well, no.
that maybe
Yeah,
he was told he would get this, get that, get that. And when you are clearly in a good place in the league and you've clearly got shortcomings in his squad, and then the likes of Obafemi kick off and want to leave and that doesn't even get replaced, then maybe you are a bit frustrated. Like it wasn't just a case of,
yeah.
there was other aspects to it, I guess. But like,
Oh
I'm not
no, of
saying
course
he's
it is.
faultless as well. Like maybe it is the case that the players that he was asking for were either unattainable or like just not good enough. But then who makes that decision? I guess. Anyway,
I wonder if there's.
the other. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, I wonder if there's anything because first of all, he was linked to Leicester, wasn't he? So if Leicester come down, Russell, they were looking at him. So I wonder if, like, if Leicester get relegated on Sunday, um, something might come of that. So I don't know, but then I remember when Cooper got absolutely annihilated because everyone said that he went for an interview with Palace before the playoff final, which is nobody knows that for certain. Like, how could you possibly know that? But you can't tell me there's not talking going along, with Martin as
It's
we were
probably
getting to
his
the end of the
agent, isn't
season.
it? He's probably told his
Oh
agent,
yeah,
look,
yeah,
Swansea is a bit like I've had enough a little bit. Like after
yeah,
January now, obviously I'm fine to stay here if they offer me a new deal, but I am if things are people are asking, and
yeah,
yeah, I'm interested.
yeah. Because all of a sudden the Leicester rumours came up like while the season was still going on, while we were probably still in for a playoff push. Um, So with it, yeah, I fully expect it was his agent and not him, but still, it's the same thing, isn't it? There's no loyalty in football anymore, is it? It's all the stuff like that he was saying. It's all a load of rubbish, isn't it?
Apparently, he did the same at MK Dons though, which is another thing that Jake was saying in the messages. So like, you shouldn't. He was saying you
Yeah,
shouldn't be surprised by it because it's exactly the same as what he did at MK Dons when he came out in a press conference and reassured that he wasn't going to Swansea, only to go a week later.
yeah.
Which is probably why they all were so frustrated about it. Actually, thinking back,
And I think that's why we at the moment I'm quite frustrated as well. I'll probably come to sort of understand it a bit more, but I'm more annoyed at Russell Martin at the moment. Because I don't know. I think, but again, it's not. Again, I'm not too like gutted that he's left, but it just seems like first opportunity he was gone again after all the
yeah.
talking. And I fully expect now though that wherever he goes, Leicester or Southampton, Perot is going to follow him. I think Grimes will follow him because Grimes likes him and he likes Grimes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he picked up Manning on the free as well. So how that would sit
And
with Swans
Latibodiere,
fans?
is it?
Well, maybe. because he likes him as well. If that, well, don't forget he left MK Dons and took Fisher and Darling with him. So again, if he goes, Perot is probably going in the summer anyway, and he's been linked with Leicester and Southampton even before Russell Martin was there. So I don't know how that will taste when he goes and maybe takes Grimes and Perot.
It's where like I don't know if this thing you can do, but when a manager leaves, not because they got sacked, because they got poached, you just kind of just put in a contract you're not allowed to come for our players for 12 months.
Yeah, I think people try and do it, don't they? But they probably never get over the line. So I fully expect that Perot and
Don't release him
Grimes
then.
will go with him.
You can say no, can you? You don't have to let him go.
Yeah.
Just say, look, you can go, but you have to have this in the contract. That is a non-negotiable.
Yeah,
And
like
I don't care if
players will
you're
kick off
against
them.
your will. We'll go down on that sword.
Yeah, Perot and players will kick off them, won't they? Because they can't go.
Yeah, but they can go somewhere else. It's fine, but they're not going with him.
They will, though, won't they? You know that's coming.
Yeah.
That's definitely coming.
Someone's going with him. Minimum one person, probably.
I think he'll take Manning as well.
Yeah, but I don't count Manning because he's technically already gone.
Yeah, but I know that's fair, but it would leave a sour taste in the mouth.
Yeah, it would. It would leave a sour taste, but it's better than him going to Rotherham, isn't it?
Yeah,
Now, to be fair, Manning's been linked with Leeds. But
fair.
actually, it depends if they stay up, innit? If they stay up, I can see he's going to want to go there, and
Yeah, that makes sense.
if they don't, then not sure.
I don't know. It was still weird though, going back to the when players run down their contracts, like Manning. Oh, I don't know if Manning's run the contract down or the club. I know he wanted more money, didn't he? But it was really strange that, and I think I remember saying at the time, it was really strange that he said, like in the middle of the season, "Oh, Manning's not going to be here next season. He's not signing a new contract." Usually, nobody says that until the end of the season, isn't it? You see, like, oh, they haven't offered him a contract. They haven't offered him a contract, and then at the end of the year, it's like, oh, they've offered him a contract for the new season. But for him to say it while the season was still going on, and it was quite a while back now that they said Manning was going.
No, but it's because they did offer him a new contract, and the talks broke down, didn't they? So that's why he said it.
Yeah,
I know it was the right thing to say. Just that's the reason.
Not sure he should have said it.
No, he probably should.
Probably like, yeah, don't worry. Wherever I go next year, I'll give you some more money. No, I'm joking.
Well, maybe we'll see if he goes there now. Just having a look if there's anything we missed. So, I guess, I mean, we've been saying for a while they should have offered him a contract earlier. I get it was difficult during a really bad spell. But I think I said during that bad spell, back him or don't back him. And by backing him, I meant like give him a new contract and like tell him he's having whatever money in the summer. Just you go 1 year left on your deal. Put yourself in Martin's shoes. Yeah, go 1 year left in your deal. Yeah, they're offering to fly you out to America now for negotiations, but you've been asking for at least 6 months. So we're basing this on the fact that we're assuming he didn't get offered one. Yeah. Actually, thinking about it, maybe the part of the reason he didn't was because of this new chairman coming in. Maybe they were like pushing things back.
Winter going.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute as well. But yeah, so say they want to fly him out. He never went because, a club coming down from Prem with money, with ambition to rebuild, change their playing style to possession-based. Pretty sure they've got a new either chairman or someone high up that's coming from behind the scenes of Man City. So I think he wants to play that sort of way. Is what when I looked into it a bit, it seemed to be the case, which is why they're looking at Martin for a possession attacking style, because that's what they want to reform Southampton to play like. So what would you do? I mean, the fact that they waited till he's got a year left, maybe you don't feel so secure in your role here. You feel like there's not a good relationship, and it's progression at the end of the day. You're going to be expected to go back up, I guess, but you're going to be backed with resources to do it.
Oh no, I fully understand why he's done it, but it's just frustrating, isn't it? It's just like there's no technically you can argue he should have been sacked in that run, a lot of managers would have been sacked for that run of form.
Yeah,
A lot of
that's the other
managers would
side
have
of
been
the
sacked,
coin,
and
then,
that would have
though,
been,
isn't it?
and that there would have been no chance of him going to somewhere like Southampton then after being sacked from Swansea. So I don't know. Maybe we backed him a little bit too much there, and then he's kind of said thanks, but I'm going now. I'm taking this opportunity. I don't know. I'm not really
Yeah,
that. I don't know. I probably sound a bit bitter about it, but I'm just
you're
just
right
let him
though.
go.
That's the knife edge of what it was, though. He could have got sacked then, and then where would he be right now? I
Well,
mean,
managers have been
maybe they
sacked
would
for
still
less.
take a punt, but you know,
Managers have been sacked for better runs than
yeah.
that.
So people that are coming at our board, like you could say, maybe they should have offered him contract earlier, but then another board sacks him. What would you rather? I can't win, can they? Really,
No, you
in that
can't win.
situation.
You can't win. But
So they're buying. You could say they were buying into the project. They were like waiting to the summer to sort it out, see if he could turn the form around. He did. All right, okay, yeah, we'll have you here for longer. We'll buy into this project for longer. We'll try work together, improve things. But yeah, he's had enough, had another opportunity and gone instead. So if they had bit the bullet and got rid of him because he had a couple of losses and a really bad couple of months, then are they still a bad guy? Like, oh, yeah,
yeah, well,
it's hard.
let's see now, because there's going to be no trust the process, and moaning about all that stuff and throwing your toys at the pram when you don't get your one to Southampton. They want to go straight back up, and if you don't start performing, you're gone. So
Yeah. It's funny though, because I'm reading here about when they tried flying him out to America, yeah, and that was on the 7th of May, isn't that? 8th of May.
cancelled, didn't it? The flight get cancelled or
Article
something.
on Swansea City owners express interest in new deal for head coach, 8th of May. What are we now? 25th?
Yeah.
So this is what Russell Martin had to say on it, yeah? He, the new chairman, said he likes what we are doing. He said the ownership group have expressed an interest in trying to extend the contract, so we'll have to wait and see. There's maybe other priorities at the moment, but we'll see. I have a year left. We've got guys out of contract at the club, so they'll have to be the real priority. Whatever comes first, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. It's very coy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, massively.
Here we are. I think I've been linked to a few jobs since I've been here. I make the same of that as I did when we spoke about that in October, when we had our last nice run. I wasn't linked with anyone when we were on a tough run. I've said to you all along, we love being here. Our families are really settled. We love working with the people we're working with. The club's biggest strength is the people here on the ground. It's amazing how much they've brought into us, and what we are doing. Martin says he will feel frustrated after coming within a whisker of the top 6. Yeah, that's pretty much it then. Just talks about the form then. So I guess given that, like, oh yeah, love you, positive message, but then gone. So it is thing, and he did do that at MK Dons as well. So you do want to keep the fans on side, I guess. It's hard to know where to sit. No one really ever knows what goes on behind the scenes, and love to be a fly on the wall.
Oh, but every manager does it. That's why I'm just like, I kind of just want to move on now. It's just been like,
didn't Potter do it, and then he went.
Yeah, it's happened to us loads of times. Cooper left, and then say Potter left,
But I
Martin's
think
left.
with Cooper though, we all saw that coming. Cooper was perhaps a bit different.
Yeah, we did see it coming, but I mean, like, it's maybe different circumstances, but we just need to move on again. No,
People are still
I'm just more
comparing
frustrated.
Martin to Cooper, saying like how Martin's done a good job because Cooper ruined the style of play. That's what the thing I was talking about Andrew Robinson earlier, where he was like, "You say all this, but Cooper finished playoffs twice. Martin 15th, 10th, or whatever it is." And they were like, "Yeah, but he's rebuilding the Swansea way, and Cooper like just ruined the football." He's just like, mate, this like literally the fact is 2 in the playoffs, 2 not in the playoffs.
Yeah. No, I agree, and this is why I was a bit more defensive of Cooper, because I think what he does, and what you can see what he does, is that it's 2 different approaches, isn't it? Cooper goes into a team and he says, right, what have I got? This will work with the players I got. And the players that we had at the time, we had Ayew up top, we had 2 fullbacks that he could play that works. So he went to 5 at the back. He went solid in the middle, so it looked different. And
Don't
that's the
forget,
best.
it was Borja Baston for the first 6 months.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's what we had. Yeah, exactly. In the first season, we didn't have Ayew, did we? Under Cooper,
No,
it was only the
no,
second
no,
season.
we did. He came back into the team, I think.
Oh, I don't think we had him in the first year, did we? Because we had oh no, Brewster was there with Ayew. I get the seasons
Yeah,
mixed up
no,
because
the
we were over
first
COVID, weren't
season
they?
he came back, and his first appearance was in the cup against someone. He came on
Yeah,
and scored. Like, did he come on and score?
yeah. I think
He
he
came on
scored.
and
Yeah,
did well,
yeah.
and then he
He
got
did.
integrated, and then Borgia slowly fell off. He scored like 6 goals in his first 7 games. Borgia did, didn't he? In
Yeah,
that
he
season,
started
and then
well.
he
Yeah,
fell off, and then was
yeah.
on the bench, and probably when Ayew came in a bit. But
But then, like Ayew, we had Ayew for that period because he liked Cooper. I remember every time he used to score, he used to run to the bench and
yeah, but
celebrate
he's
with
with
him,
him again now, isn't he?
and then he went with him in Forest. So when people are like, "Oh, you know, the man," we had that pull because he liked working with Cooper, and he brought Brewster in, and he liked working with Cooper. So and then you got the other approach then where Martin's like, right, we're going to play this way, and I've got to fit the pieces in what we've got. I'm playing this way, and the players have got to fit into it rather than finding a system that works for the players. It's just two different approaches, but people cried then. I mean, I'd rather get to a playoff final, like we did, than not really challenge for the playoffs in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
that's personal preference.
So final bit on Russell Martin before we look at where Swansea go. Then, how do you think he's going to get on at Southampton?
Well, I don't know really. That's going to be the acid test because he had to work with MK Dons, and okay, he played good football, but they didn't achieve anything. He didn't get them in the playoffs, I don't think, and now they've been relegated this year. So he didn't really achieve much with them. I think that was mid-table. He didn't achieve anything with us. I think like the Cardiff results probably make him seem better than he was in the time he was here. And all fairness, always be thankful for that. And I actually did really want him to do well, but looking at it on paper for 2 seasons, we haven't actually achieved a whole lot. So I don't know. I don't actually know. I don't actually know what level he's operating at. This would be a good test because he's going to go in there. He's going to get money. He's going to get to do whatever he wants. He's going to get the players he wants. He's going to have the coaches that he wants with him. He's going to be able to bring in whatever he wants, whether it's players like Perot and Grimes or whatever. So he's got to perform straight away. So the pressure's going to be on. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to go. It's not going to be. I think it's not going to be a mediocre one. I think he either goes on like a run like he did with us and gets sacked, or it's going to be brilliant and they're going to go up like Burnley did last year and the company playing good football. I think it's going to be. It's not going to be nothing in the middle.
So put your neck on the line then. Is he going to still be the Southampton manager in 12 months' time?
No.
You're saying he's having a bad season then, it's not going to work.
Well, if it's anything like us, where it's got to be, we're building and trust the process and all this, then it's not gonna sit. So,
well, we will see. We'll have to see.
I could be
Okay.
wrong. We sat here now, and he would have bloody won the league or something.
So Swansea then, where does Swansea go from here? Before we look at the managers that could potentially take over, whether that's the ones that have been linked, the ones that are in the betting, and the ones potentially we'd like to see. Julian Winter has actually left. Now, this is a bit of a weird one because you had the rumours. Then you had the statement from Andy Coleman on his second day in the club saying something about the rumours being a load of rubbish and we protect people's well-being and don't like the fact that all the speculation is knocking about. And then 2 weeks later, Winter have actually gone. So I just considering that's like his only statement still to date, I'd be weird.
We're in a mess for me, I think.
The
I don't know what's
put a
going
statement
on
out today, though, saying that we can't talk about any of this Southampton stuff for legal reasons. They didn't say Southampton. They said they can't officially acknowledge the speculation because of legal reasons around the finances.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I think now the fact that Winter has now left means that statement that the chairman put out was madness. But I said at the time, it's so weird. I don't know if there's something going on behind the scenes, whether there's like sale coming or I don't know. And he was just annoyed that information got released earlier than it did. That's the only thing I can think of. He's thinking like, oh, I didn't want that information out now because we're trying to do something, or maybe they didn't want it out before they offered Russell Martin a contract or something like that. It could. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't know where we are at the moment. We've got a new chairman now. Winter's left. They converted shares a couple of months ago, didn't they? And I just don't know where we are at the top. I have no idea what's going on. We need massive clarity of how the club is run and what's going on, because it's a bit of a state.
Yeah, I don't really understand it now. As chairman, directors, God knows.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, Winter's gone. So, I'm led to assume that Andy Coleman is now the one that we're going to hear from, and he's going to deal with the stuff here, anything to do with the club, the stadium, final decisions, maybe still go up higher than him. I don't really know, but maybe we'll find out. So when it comes to the new manager, I don't know if he's play a part in that, or does he leave it to Julian and not Julian because he's gone, obviously. Sorry, Jason and Stephen, is it?
Yeah.
Don't even know their names. That's how irregular we hear from them. Kaplan and Levitt.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the betting odds today, which is the 25th of May, currently I have as a sort of it says Bet Victor, I think, but I think it's like an amalgamation of the odds and put into a list in order. Chris Davis is the favourite currently. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, he coached under Brendan Rodgers, isn't he?
Yeah, so he coached under Brendan Rodgers in our promotion season, obviously, because that's when Brendan was here, and the year after. He's since worked with Brendan at Leicester. He went there as he was assistant manager, at Leicester and at Reading, Celtic. He did have a stint at Reading as first team coach. Not sure how that went for him. Don't think he did very well. So, I mean, he's an unknown, I guess, manager-wise.
Yeah, but the one thing you can't...
he's at Liverpool as well.
The one thing you can't argue with the board or whoever makes that decision is I like the way we appoint managers, like to bring in, since you've come down to bring in Potter and Cooper and Martin, I've liked those appointments.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I kind of hope they carry on with that trend and not, and bring in a young, hungry manager with an identity.
Yeah.
So I hope they follow that trend, but the thing is with the bookies at this stage, you always get someone that just goes to favourite, then they drop off. Someone else random goes to favourite, and then ends up being someone.
What's his face? Jones.
Oh, Nathan Jones. Yeah, that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
The fans wouldn't have him. He's a Cardiff fan for a start. I remember he celebrated in the away end when they beat us down here. That's never going to happen. The fans hate him.
Okay, so that's Chris Davis. He's favourite 2-5 at the moment. That's obviously going to change. He, though, hasn't technically got a club as a manager, has he? I don't know. Well, he hasn't got a club, have he? Because Brendan was sacked. I'd imagine he went with him.
Yeah, Brendan's coming here.
He's not even on the list, Brendan's not.
That's never going to happen, is it?
So I did read that the club have been doing initial talks with managers and narrowing down the list of who they want, right? They've already started that. And also I read that they are trying to avoid paying a compensation fee for the next manager. So maybe that's why he's top of the list, because he is free. Don't know. Anyway, next manager, Stephen Schumacher, 6-1, just got Plymouth Argyle promoted. Now, I feel like that would be an exciting one. I think he's done a good job at Plymouth.
Yeah.
But you just got your team promoted to the championship. Are you going to go to a mid-table championship team, or are you going to try and see what you can do?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one to have on there, though. That's quite an exciting one, because I think they had 101 points and they in League One and scored the most goals, I think. So,
well, he's going to get a tune out of Morgan Whittaker if he comes here. That's for sure. He'll be staying.
Well, even so, yeah, that might work out.
They won't be having to replace Joe Perreault because they'd be using Whittaker.
I can't see that happening. I can't see why he would do that. It's almost a sideways move, isn't it? At this point.
I would say it's definitely an upwards because, like, the majority, like I would say, well, I don't know what the actual percentage is, but most of the clubs that come up from League One, it's got to be around 50% go back down, whether that's in the first or second year.
Yeah, it is
Obviously,
quite a
some
lot.
stay
Yeah.
up. Some do
Well,
stay up and do well.
Coventry straight up into the.
Well, they didn't come up last year.
Oh
They
no,
were
they
the
didn't
year
come up
after.
last year. Year before, weren't
Sunderland, you mean?
they? Sunderland went straight into the playoffs. I thought Coventry for some reason, but they came up the year before, didn't they?
Yeah, but they also have them other ones then, the ones that go straight back down every year as well.
Well, Plymouth being one of them, they've been up and down a couple of times, haven't they? I think.
Yeah, and
But
Wickham, like they're small. Getting to this level is good for them at the moment. They need to establish themselves now. Whereas let's just say we are the other end where we're like we've fallen down and become established.
yeah, no. When I said it was I said almost a sideways move. It would still
Yeah,
be an upwards move, but I think like in terms of he's just gone and promoted,
yeah.
I don't know why he would.
I guess it depends. Like, it depends what Plymouth's like. You get some clubs that are happy for him to come up, have a go, and even if they go back down, he won't get sacked. Or there
Yeah.
could be a team that, if they look like they're going back down, he will get sacked.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that could be an excited one. And like I said, changes perhaps the outlook on Morgan Whittaker in particular, who I would say, if he doesn't come, is probably going to go. Although saying that, now Martin's going, a new fresh manager might want to keep him anyway. So maybe that's another conversation. But number 3 then, Steve Cotterill from Shrewsbury Town, 8-1.
Steve Cotterill. Is that the old one?
From
I can't think of
Shrewsbury.
another Steve Cotterill. Oh my god, no. Oh no, that's a dinosaur manager. If it's the one I'm thinking of.
He is quite old, yeah.
No, thanks. No way.
No?
I wouldn't mind taking one of the top two because they're like sort of
He's
kind
been
of
there since
unproven.
2020 at Shrewsbury.
No, he's been around the block
58.
for years. He's been around the block for years, Steve Cotterill, around the Football League.
Okay, so the next one then, if you're saying big no to him, the next one is probably the one I'm kind of intrigued by. I kind of think would be a good fit. Oscar Garcia.
Yeah, I've seen this one floated around. I think
12-1.
I think the fact that he's like Spanish probably raises his profile in Swansea. I think, but he has had spells. He was at Brighton for a bit, wasn't he? And then he was at Watford for a bit, but I think he left because he was ill.
Yes,
I
we
read.
got Brighton to the playoffs and they lost, and then he
Yeah.
quit after he replaced Gus Poyet.
Yeah.
Playoff semis. He also went to Watford. I wouldn't judge anyone on their time at Watford, though.
No.
But he had his most successful period was probably when he was at Red Bull Salzburg.
Yeah.
Where he only had 10 defeats in 209. No, sorry, that's his overall. 73 games for Red Bull, and they had 10 defeats there. Winning 2 leagues and cup doubles. So he likes to play an attacking possession style football.
Yeah, well, that would suit, wouldn't it?
It just seems like maybe it would be a good fit. Someone that's not quite had the big time success, still kind of needs to make a little bit of a name, but has shown that he can do it as well.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need to go back to because we've had sort of British managers for a while. Maybe we need a bit of foreign influence again.
Yeah,
but you can't really judge as well off like before they've come their old roles because like. Brendan Rodgers got sacked at Reading and Watford, didn't he? And then he came here, and it was just the right fit. Sometimes it's just you need to find that right match, don't you? So, someone like that, it might just all work, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's one that I'm intrigued by. Anyway, he's number 4 at the moment. Going down the list, then Neil Critchley.
No, he just signed with Blackpool, isn't he?
Yeah,
I'm sure he just signed a new deal.
23rd of May, 23. It says he was appointed. So what's that? 2 days ago?
No. Yeah, no.
Weird that is. Don't know where that's come from. Ryan Mason.
Nah.
Not for you.
Nah, not for me. That one doesn't fill me with.
Obviously, caretaker at Tottenham at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, nah, it's not for me.
I don't think it'd be the worst, but
no, I don't know. Again, I don't know. It's just sometimes it's just a feeling in it when someone says like that. You just think, nah. but then it could work. I don't know. But for me, if someone
I
said
don't know too
tomorrow, I'll
much.
write this.
Don't know too much for this one. Ian Evatt from Bolton.
Oh God. Oh, mind you, he got them back into the playoffs. I just remember when he was defender for Blackpool, and I think he scored 2 own goals against Man United when they got relegated.
Luke Williams from Notts County. That could be
Yeah,
interesting
that's
because he has a
interesting.
really good season, hasn't he?
That's interesting. Yeah, he's done really well with
Scored a
Notts
lot of
County.
goals.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Nathan Jones.
Nah, that's
20 to
never
1
happening.
now.
No way
It's gone
that's
down
happening.
the pecking order. Another name has been floating around quite a lot, but at 25 to 1, I'm not sure how much is in it. Wayne Rooney.
I think that's the connection with DC, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's. Yeah, I can't see. Do you think the owners are going to give him to us? I don't think so.
Is he still there now?
I thought he was, wasn't he? Wasn't he? No, he was coaching DC, wasn't he?
Yeah, DC's their priorities. If he's doing a decent job, there's no chances there.
No.
Enzo Maresca from apparently his previous team was Parma. You know Italian league from your Napoli knowledge. Do you know?
Yeah, and still, I'm not really too sure on him. Don't know a lot about him.
I mean, we're down the list now. These are like 25 to 1. So
Yeah.
But it could all change. There'll probably be new names appear that aren't even on you. So
Yeah.
Kevin Phillips.
No. No, I'm right.
Danny Cowley from Portsmouth.
Nah, he'd been around the
last
block
team.
now as well. Nah.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the next up and coming thing, wasn't he? When he done really well with Lincoln, and then everywhere he's gone since, it hasn't really worked out. Didn't he go to West Brom and Huddersfield, and now
I
he's
don't
at
know.
Portsmouth? Yeah, I just don't think it's ever
These
worked out.
managers that go everywhere, I lose interest really.
Yeah, and those are the managers I hate when they come up. No,
Yeah.
I know it's harsh, but I do like the way we put managers in who are like relatively unknown, but they just fit. They just fit the club. That's what I'm interested in. So I'd be more excited about someone I've never heard of than someone I have heard of.
Yeah. So going down, they're not going to say the rest of them, but I'll say any notable ones, right? Sol Bamba, 33 to 1.
Can you imagine?
He's favourite for Cardiff job, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, can you imagine that one?
It's just linked because it's up the road, isn't it?
Yeah.
Neil Lennon, 33 to 1.
Oh, I hate Neil Lennon. Oh my God, no.
Steven Gerrard, 33 to 1.
I can't see him. Do you reckon he dipped down into the championship now?
No,
I don't know.
because he won a lot of Rangers, didn't he? It would be like a little bit of a fall from grace. I know he got sacked from Villa, but I feel like a mid-table, lower-table Prem team would still take a punt.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or a team a team who'd just come down, maybe someone like Leicester if they come down or something.
Yeah, Lee Boyer. I hope not.
Oh no, these are just the names they just dig out, don't they? Just like every new manager job, right? Here's the 30 that we chuck in for everyone, and then
Chris
we'll
Wilder.
just. Oh no. Yeah.
33 to 1.
Nah.
Darren Moore, 33 to 1. Now he's got a playoff final with Sheffield Wednesday to worry about.
Interesting one though. I don't know.
He didn't do that well at West Brom though, did he? Or did he do all right?
I think he done all right at West Brom, and I think he was harshly sacked against. Yeah, they were high.
Was it when he was sacked in the playoffs? Was it that time?
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember, but I remember when he got sacked for West Brom. I was just thinking, why did they sack him? It was a really random one.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
Here's one that is usually higher up the list, but isn't. Jody Morris.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he was linked last year, wasn't he?
33 to 1. John Terry's there, 33 to 1.
Surprised Lampard's not there.
Steve Morrison, 33 to 1.
Wow, yeah.
That's never happening.
No.
John Eustace is there as well. He was going to get the job last time, apparently, wasn't he? Until he rejected it.
Yeah, it looked like that was happening, for a while until it
33
didn't go
to 1.
through.
Obviously, he's currently at Birmingham. That's probably not going to happen, I wouldn't have thought.
No.
Chris Hughton, absolutely not. He's managing Ghana, though. I didn't realise that.
Yeah, it's a random one, isn't it?
That is random. Cameron Toshak. Now, I know I've seen a lot of people saying they'd be happy with him.
No, every job, every time he's linked.
Well, his last job was at Paphos, and he left there in 2020.
Yeah, I remember he went out there. That was a random one.
Don't think he did very well. Dean Smith, 33 to 1.
Dean Smith. Nah, I don't know.
Okay.
I used to think he was good because when he was with Brentford the first time, he had them playing lovely football. And
Yeah,
then
well,
like,
he was at Brentford before Thomas Frank, and Thomas Frank only got the job because he was his assistant.
yeah, and Dean Smith was good, and that Brentford team was really good. So
And now
I
Thomas
don't know, but
Frank's
then,
been tipped as the next England manager, I saw the other day.
but since then, like Dean Smith hasn't really done much, has he? Like he's been to Norwich and
Villa was he at?
Villa, and he hasn't really done much.
He got
Leicester
Villa
now,
up
hasn't
though,
he?
didn't he?
Yes, yeah, but
Because he left Brentford for Villa and they got promoted with that
they should
late
have.
run.
Yeah, they should have. They
I
should
mean, they
have
had
stormed
like
that league though. Grealish
Grealish
and
and
Mings and Tammy Abraham.
Tammy. Graham Potter, 33-1.
I would take him back, but I don't think it's going to happen. And they do say never go back, don't they? I don't know. That's a bit of a strange one because can you replicate what you had before? I don't know.
Didn't really have much to replicate though, did he? Like
No,
I
but I mean,
understand
like
never
the
go
football
back
we
when you
played
were
was good, wasn't it?
successful. But like I feel like there's a different set of circumstances. He had the one season after we come down with a bunch of players who we shouldn't have had still for a championship team.
Yeah.
You haven't got that now, so it's maybe he wouldn't be able to do it. Who knows? Couldn't do it at Chelsea with all the big names, could he? Although I do think he wasn't really given the right circumstances to even work there. He should never have been hired in the middle of the season at Chelsea. Oh, and I've lost Lee. Okay, so as we carry on down the list, we've got Paul Ince is in there, Nigel Atkins, Michael Appleton, Scott Parker, Joey Barton. Trying to see if there's anyone else interesting. Not really. Lee Cattermole, a bit of a weird one. Kenny Jackett, blast from the past. Paul Tisdale, Robbie Fowler. I'm not sure any of them names are really in contention, but the front view could potentially have something going on for them. I was just reading out some of the other random names while you disappeared.
Oh, could you not hear me?
No.
Oh, I
Could
was
you hear
giving
everything I said? Yeah.
I was hearing everything you saying, and I could reply, but then it
you weren't
wasn't.
coming through.
Oh,
So
that's fine.
I've also found an article, right, that says 5 out-of-work managers available to Swansea City as Martin closes in on Southampton. I'm going to read the names out. We've already spoke about 1 or 2 of them. You tell me, first of all, yes or no, and then how likely you think it is to happen. Liam Richardson. Or Liam Richardson, I should say. So he was Wigan's manager at the start of the season.
Yeah, no, and no, thank you.
A lot of people think he was unfairly sacked too early in the season. No? Slaven Bilic.
Never going to happen, but I would take it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Not that bothered by him then, his style of playing?
No, I think I'd take him. I think, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, we already spoke about Chris Wilder.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Nathan Jones.
No, thanks to either of them.
Brendan Rodgers.
Oh, I would definitely take him back in a heartbeat, but it's never going to happen.
That's too much money in it.
Yeah, he's not going to want to. He's not going to want to go to the championship ever again, now is he? Once he's managed at the level he has.
So, have you got any managers you want to chuck in the mix, or you think you'd like to see them?
I don't know. To be honest, I can't really think who's out there, especially with the way that we appoint. It's normally someone quite left field, isn't it? But I don't know if Potter ever fancy coming back or Rodgers, that would be.
Out of all the names mentioned, then Potter be your pick, would it?
Oh yeah, I mean we'd love to have him back, but it's not going to happen, is it?
Out of the ones that look like they're top of the running at the moment, I think Schumacher or Garcia would be the 2 I'm intrigued by.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'd be interested to see what those 2 could do.
Yeah. I guess I think Oscar Garcia was sacked by Reims, so he's free, I think.
What about that?
Obviously, they have to buy out Schumacher.
What about that British coach? Coach is in. I think he's a Stade Rennais, isn't he? And he hasn't done his badges, so they got to pay a fine.
Oh yeah, they got to pay every time he.
Yeah.
He must be good.
Apparently, he's doing a really good job. Yeah.
Well, it must be to want to pay that fine all the time.
I don't know what type of football he plays either, but that's like giving me like sort of Potter vibes, isn't it? That he was kind of like a British coach abroad,
Yeah.
quite like sort of under the radar. So that would be
Am I
an
right to
interesting
say
one.
Potter had Erling Haaland when he was out?
No, I don't know. He was in Sweden, wasn't he?
Wasn't he at Oyster Runs?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Haaland played for them, did he?
I was reading. Oh, Mould it was. I was reading. It
Old,
wasn't.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm lying. It wasn't Potter. It was.
Solskjaer, was it?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I read something the other day. He was telling Man United to sign Haaland, and then he went there like 6 months later, but they didn't sign him.
Oh, wow. How they got it now?
Getting mixed up with the European clubs, but yeah, that's what I was reading. Sorry, not Potter. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see anyway. Obviously, I'm sure there'll be a lot more to discuss on the manager front. All I want to say on it, the last thing, is they have to learn the mistakes from last time, where we spent about all summer
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for a manager, and then had 1 week before the season started when Russell Martin actually came in.
Yeah, oh, yeah, this got to be done. Well, the thing is, it's good that it's going to be done early, it looks like.
Yeah, but
We're
even
only,
when Cooper started pre-season, didn't he?
yeah, he came in quite early. So I think, if Martin is going to go probably next week, we're only 2 or 3 weeks out of the season finishing. So get someone in then in the next, couple of weeks or so, and then they'll be in for pre-season then. So, hope that's got to be the priority, isn't it? Get them in as early as they can.
Yeah.
And then we go again. We start all over again.
Yeah. Okay, last couple of things I want to touch on then. Swans have been linked to a player. Can't imagine anything's going to happen at the moment with no manager, though. It does
No.
state in here that Stoke have gone ahead of us in the pecking order signing, apparently, since the fact that Martin's now going to leave. But Brighton and Hove Albion midfielder Andrew Moran have been linked to signing. So I don't know if midfield is the area we need to look at the most. He's a 19-year-old. But yeah, don't really know too much about him. Can't see anything happening at the moment anyway. So if other clubs are interested, I'd imagine they'll get there first because of the manager situation. But just something to put out there. And the other bit of interesting news that caught my eye was teams that are interested in one of our youngsters. And it's the teams who are interested that makes it like a little bit like, oh, okay. So he actually played in the Cup earlier this season. Azim Abdullahi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man City,
you what?
Isn't it Man City who wanted him?
I think he used to play. Maybe he came from someone's academy. I don't know if he was Man City. It's not Man City. I'm looking at. I want him now anyway. But it was Newcastle and Aston Villa are monitoring him,
Newcastle,
as well as Bayer Leverkusen, which is not like they're decent, reputable teams in higher leagues. So it just makes you think. He's 20 years old. You've got Cameron Congreve making first team appearances every now and again. Ollie Cooper breaking through, not too much older. Is that someone that we can look at in the summer to emerge into the team? If you get interest from these bigger clubs, there must be something there.
Oh, it must be. It must be some. Yeah, there must be some talent there for these people to be picking him up, and they're not stupid, are they? Especially the German clubs are picking up like English youngsters, especially. They're not. They're no mugs when it comes to doing that.
So he came from Celtic's academy, no Man City, sorry, and then went to Leicester, and then we got him from Leicester. So he's been at big clubs, academies, so we'll see. Obviously, I'd imagine Martin obviously liked him for him to be in the cup squad, but I think he's at the stage if clubs are going to start looking at him, where we either going to have to look at actually progressing him into our team, or he's going to go somewhere else soon. So if he is a talent, then maybe we should look at using him in our situation at the moment.
Well, I haven't seen any myself, but like I've heard from a few people who've been going to watch the under-21 games towards the end of the season. I know they had a massive win at the end of the season. I'm hearing a lot of good things about that Liam Smith we signed from Man City.
Yeah.
I've heard people say he looks really, really good. So that might be. They brought him in January, didn't they? In midfielder, isn't he? I think. Might
That's
be
good
attacking
then.
midfielder, sure. But well, we signed him in January. Doing nothing for the first team, but we signed him in January. But apparently, he's supposed to be he's supposed to look really sharp. So that might
I
be
guess
one to
that's
look
one
out for.
thing, having a new manager come in. You always see a fresh pair of eyes with the youth team, and one or two pop up that perhaps we weren't expecting beforehand. So I mean, look at Ben Davis under Laudrup.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Came from nowhere, didn't it? So
yeah.
Well, anything else that you want to talk about then before we knock it on the head?
No, I think that's it. That's it. We just got to start all over again now. New manager. Here we go
It
again.
kind of interrupted our plans. We were going to do our review of our the table we did at the start of the season against the finishing table, but we'll have to postpone that because as much as it hasn't been announced, it kind of is the topic that is surrounding the club at the moment. You have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, can you imagine there's a big U-turn now when he comes back next week?
Yeah, we'll delete the video in a half now. I'm joking. I mean, if there's a big U-turn, we'll acknowledge it in the next one and be like, well, bit of a joke all that situation was. But I guess no one's actually said anything publicly. So,
I think when it gets to like when it gets to sort of like Sky Sports
BBC,
reported on
Sky.
it, BBC and TalkSport put a thing out as well. I think there's no smoke without fire. Then is there?
Nope. And then, if you believe him or not, their messages with the board and the fact that the trust have put a statement out now saying like, yeah, there's speculation, but there's a reason why we can't actually comment officially on it. So, without actually commenting officially on it, I think they're acknowledging that something's going on.
They commented without commenting.
Yeah, it was a nothing statement. If you go read it, it's like a statement of it's saying we haven't said nothing, but we're also saying nothing. That's basically what it says.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, it goes on to talk about and how they're not happy with the criticism people have been directing at the trust. Well, no, to be fair, they said it was some of it's warranted, but some of it's gone too far because bear in mind everyone that works there is on a voluntary basis.
Yeah.
So it's fair. People are people at the end of the day, aren't they? So
it's
criticism and then there's abuse, isn't it? That's the difference.
Yeah. You got to draw the line.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll draw the line under the podcast here. So as always, thanks for watching or listening. If you're on Spotify, give us a follow, give us a like. I don't know if you do ratings and stuff. I'm sure you can rate podcasts, can you? So give us a rating, leave us a nice review, make us move up in the world a little bit, and leave some nice comments. Let us know what you think about the manager situation. Who would you like to see replace Russell Martin? How do you think he would succeed at Southampton? We shall see you in the next video where hopefully we have a little bit more clarity about what is going on. And until then, it's goodbye for now.
See you in a bit.